The contract sat on Emma Parker's desk like a coiled snake, elegant letterhead gleaming under the fluorescent lights of her cramped office. Ashford Hartwell Wedding, December 20th, Mountain Ridge Resort. Budget, unlimited. Her hand trembled as she reached for her coffee, nearly knocking over the carefully arranged mood boards she'd spent all morning preparing. This was it, the wedding that would put Parker Events on the map. The kind of client that opened doors, that transformed her from a struggling wedding planner into someone who mattered in this cutthroat industry. "Emma, did you see the client brief?" Her assistant Maya burst through the door, tablet in hand, eyes bright with excitement. "This is massive. The groom is Liam Ashford, as in Ashford Industries, billionaire tech mogul. The bride is Victoria Hartwell, old money socialite. This wedding is going to be in every magazine from here to Paris." Emma's vision blurred. The coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering against the hardwood floor in an explosion of ceramic and dark liquid. Liam Ashford. 3 years. It had been 3 years since she'd heard that name spoken aloud in her presence. 3 years since she'd stood in a bridal suite, white dress pooling around her feet, phone clutched in her shaking hand as call after call went to voicemail. 3 years since 200 guests had watched her walk back down the aisle alone, the weight of their pity crushing her with every step. "Emma, are you okay?" Maya was crouching beside her, picking up pieces of broken ceramic. "I can't do this wedding." The words came out strangled, raw. "What, Emma, this is a six-figure contract. Your business needs this. We need this." "You don't understand. The groom, Liam, he's my ex." Maya froze, a shard of ceramic suspended in her hand. "Your ex? Like dated in college ex or?" "He left me at the altar, Maya, 3 years ago. No explanation, no call, he just didn't show up." The silence that followed was suffocating. Maya slowly stood, her expression shifting from shock to something that looked uncomfortably like calculation. "Emma, I know this is awful, but think about what's at stake. If we turn down this job, Stellar Events will snap it up in a heartbeat. And you know what happens then? We lose our credibility, our deposit on the new office space, probably half our clients." "I can't face him." "Then don't send me. I'll handle all the client meetings. You can work behind the scenes." Emma laughed, a bitter sound. "You really think that's possible? It's a destination wedding, Maya. 3 days at an isolated mountain resort. I'll be living there during the planning period. There's no hiding." "So you've already read the full brief?" Caught, Emma had devoured every word, unable to stop herself from searching for clues about who Liam had become. The man who'd proposed to her under the stars, who'd promised forever, who'd vanished like smoke. Her phone buzzed. A text from her landlord. "Rent is late again. Need payment by Friday or I'm starting eviction proceedings." Then an email notification. "Final notice, business loan payment overdue." The universe had a cruel sense of humor. "One condition," Emma heard herself say. "I stay professional. I do my job. I don't engage with him beyond what's absolutely necessary." Maya's face lit up. "You're taking it." "I'm taking it because I have to, not because I want to." But as Emma signed the contract an hour later, her signature didn't look like victory. It looked like surrender. The helicopter descended through thick gray clouds, and Emma's stomach lurched. Mountain Ridge Resort materialized below like something from a winter fairy tale, all glass and timber and snow-draped elegance, perched on a peak that seemed to touch the sky. Cable cars crawled up the mountain face like industrious insects. A single winding road carved through the forest, currently being assaulted by the first flurries of what the weather reports promised would be a significant storm. "We'll get you settled before the worst of it hits," the pilot shouted over the roar of the rotors. "But you might be up here longer than planned. They're saying this could be a big one." "Perfect." Emma gripped her seat as they landed, her carefully constructed composure threatening to crack. She spent the entire week preparing for this moment, meditation apps, therapy sessions, a new wardrobe that screamed confidence she didn't feel. She'd practiced her facial expressions in the mirror. Calm, professional, utterly unbothered. All of it evaporated the moment she stepped into the resort's grand lobby and saw him. Liam stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, silhouetted against the snowy landscape beyond. 3 years had changed him. He was leaner, harder somehow, as if life had carved away everything soft and left only sharp edges. His dark hair was shorter, touched with gray at the temples that hadn't been there before. He wore a black sweater and dark jeans that probably cost more than her monthly rent, looking every inch the billionaire he'd become. Then he turned and their eyes met. The world stopped. Emma forgot how to breathe. She watched emotions flicker across his face, shock, pain, something that might have been longing before his expression went completely blank. Smooth as glass, unreadable. He crossed the lobby in long strides, and suddenly he was right there, close enough that she could smell his cologne. The same one. How dare he still wear the same cologne? Miss Parker. His voice was deeper than she remembered, colder. I wasn't aware Parker Events was handling the wedding. Mr. Ashford. Her voice came out steady. Small miracle. I assure you my team and I are fully capable of delivering exactly what you've requested. I'm sure you are. Was that a barb? Though I have to question the wisdom of taking on a job with such personal complications. Before Emma could respond, a woman appeared at Liam's side, slipping her arm through his with practiced ease. Victoria Hartwell was everything the photos hadn't captured. Tall, willowy, with honey blonde hair cascading over her shoulders and eyes so blue they looked artificial. She wore winter white cashmere and diamond studs that could have funded Emma's business for a year. You must be Emma. Victoria's smile was warm, genuine, completely at odds with the tension crackling between Emma and Liam. I've been so excited to meet you. Your portfolio is absolutely stunning. Liam, isn't it wonderful? Emma did the Morrison Chen wedding last spring. Remember, we saw the photos in Luxe Bride. Liam's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Wonderful. I was thinking we could have dinner together tonight, Victoria continued, oblivious or choosing to ignore the atmosphere. Just the three of us and the core wedding party. Get to know each other. This is going to be such an intimate celebration. I really want everyone to feel like family. Family, the word hit Emma like a physical blow. That sounds lovely, Emma lied. I'll just get settled in my room first. Oh, about that. Victoria's smile brightened further. I hope you don't mind, but I had them move you to the main lodge instead of the staff quarters. You're not staff, Emma. You're creating magic for us. Plus, with this storm coming, the main lodge has backup generators and better heating. I want you comfortable. Which meant Emma would be sleeping under the same roof as Liam, sharing common spaces, unable to escape. That's very thoughtful, Emma managed. I'll have someone bring your bags up. You're in the Aspen Suite, 3rd floor. Liam and I are in the Evergreen penthouse on 4, so we're practically neighbors. Victoria squeezed Liam's arm affectionately. He stood rigid as a statue. This is going to be perfect. I can just feel it. As Victoria swept away to greet other arriving guests, Liam lingered. For a moment, Emma thought he might say something real, might acknowledge the impossibility of this situation. But he just looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. Professional, Miss Parker, that's all this is. I couldn't agree more, Mr. Ashford. He walked away and Emma finally allowed herself to breathe. Her hands were shaking, her heart was racing, and she had 3 days of this ahead of her. She found Maya in the resort's business center, already deep in coordination with the catering team. How bad? Maya asked without looking up from her laptop. I need you to handle every single interaction with the groom that doesn't absolutely require my presence. That bad? Maya, I don't think I can do this. Now Maya looked up, her expression softening. Yes, you can, because you're Emma Parker and you don't let anything break you, not even him. You show up, you do brilliant work, and you walk away from this wedding with enough money to finally stop drowning. That's the goal. Everything else is just noise. Emma wanted to believe her. She wanted to be that strong. But when she reached her suite and found it decorated with fresh flowers and a welcome basket, she noticed the card. Looking forward to working with you. V. Not from Liam, never from Liam. She had 4 hours until dinner. 4 hours to reconstruct her armor and remember why she was here. 4 hours to forget that the man she'd once loved more than breathing was about to marry someone else. 4 hours to pretend her heart wasn't shattering all over again. The private dining room glowed with candlelight and the soft crackle of a stone fireplace. Snow had begun falling in earnest outside the windows, fat flakes swirling in the darkness. Emma arrived exactly on time, wearing the most expensive dress she owned, deep emerald silk that Maya had insisted made her look like a goddess. Right now, she felt like a fraud. 10 people were already gathered. Victoria and Liam, his best man Derek, who kept shooting nervous glances at Victoria, her sister Natalie, who looked perpetually bored and irritated, and various other members of the wedding party who Emma would need to memorize quickly. Emma, Victoria materialized beside her with a glass of champagne. You look absolutely gorgeous. Doesn't she look gorgeous, Liam? Liam glanced up from his scotch. Their eyes met for half a second. Lovely. The word was clinical, empty. Dinner was torture disguised as elegant cuisine. Emma sat between Derek and one of Victoria's bridesmaids, directly across from Liam, forced to watch him play the role of attentive groom. He was good at it, touching Victoria's hand at appropriate moments, laughing at her stories, presenting the perfect image of a man in love. But Emma knew him, had known him, and she could see the performance in every gesture. "So Emma," Natalie said, her voice carrying across the table with the precision of someone who enjoyed making others uncomfortable. "Victoria mentioned you did the Morrison Chen wedding. Wasn't there some drama there? The groom's ex showed up and caused a scene." "The situation was handled discreetly," Emma replied evenly. "All weddings have unexpected moments. What matters is managing them professionally." "Good to know you have experience with ex-drama." Natalie's smile was sharp. "Since you and Liam have history." The table went silent. Emma's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. "Natalie," Victoria's voice held a warning. "What? I'm just saying, it's not exactly conventional to hire your fiancé's ex-fiancé as your wedding planner. People are going to talk." "Let them talk." Victoria's hand covered Liam. "Liam and Emma's past is exactly that, the past. We're all adults. Besides, Emma is the best at what she does, and I want the best." Emma forced herself to meet Liam's gaze. He was staring at his plate, jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. She remembered that tell. He only did that when he was barely holding himself together. "I appreciate your confidence," Emma said to Victoria. "And I promise, my only focus is making sure your wedding is everything you've dreamed of." The conversation moved on, but the damage was done. Everyone was now acutely aware of the elephant in the room. As dinner wound down and guests began drifting toward their rooms, Emma seized her chance to escape. She was halfway across the lobby when a hand caught her arm. "Liam." They were alone in the vast space, distant voices and music from the bar fading into background noise. This close, she could see the fine lines around his eyes, the exhaustion that lived in them. "Emma, I didn't know you were the planner." His voice was low, urgent. "If I had known." "What? You would have hired someone else." "I would have, I don't know, warned you maybe, given you a chance to refuse." She pulled her arm free. "I needed the job, Liam. I don't have the luxury of avoiding uncomfortable situations because of our history." "Our history," he laughed bitterly. "Is that what we're calling it?" "What else would I call it? The time you promised forever and then disappeared. The day you left me standing in a church while 200 people watched me realize I wasn't enough." The words erupted before she could stop them. 3 years of repressed pain finally finding voice. Liam flinched like she'd struck him. Emma. No, she held up her hand. We're not doing this. You're getting married in 3 days. I'm here to do a job, that's it. Whatever happened between us, whatever you want to say or explain or justify, I don't want to hear it. It's too late. Is it? The question was barely a whisper. Yes, it is. Congratulations on your wedding, Mr. Ashford. I hope you and Victoria have a wonderful life together. She walked away before he could respond, before the tears burning behind her eyes could fall. She didn't look back, couldn't look back. In her suite, Emma collapsed against the door, finally letting the sobs come. Maya was right, she would survive this. She would do her job, collect her payment, and move on. But surviving and living were two very different things. Outside, the snow fell harder, beginning to pile against the windows. The storm was coming. Emma woke to her phone buzzing insistently at 3 in the morning. She fumbled for it in the darkness, her suite illuminated only by the eerie glow of snow-reflected moonlight. Maya's name flashed on the screen. This better be an emergency, Emma croaked. It is, check the weather alerts, we're in trouble. Emma pulled up the notifications, her stomach dropping as she read. The blizzard had intensified far beyond original predictions. Mountain Ridge Resort was now completely isolated, roads closed, cable cars shut down for safety, helicopter flights grounded indefinitely. The storm was expected to last at least 3 to 4 days. We're trapped, Maya said unnecessarily, and the wedding is supposed to be tomorrow. Can we postpone? Victoria's father is flying in from London. He has stage 4 cancer, Emma. This might be his last chance to walk his daughter down the aisle. She's not postponing. Emma pressed her fingers to her temples, trying to think through the fog of exhaustion and emotional turmoil. Okay, we move the ceremony up. Today, before the worst of the storm hits. It won't be everything we planned, but it'll be beautiful. The resort has everything we need already here. I'll start making calls, but Emma, there's something else. The main generator is acting up. They're working on it, but if we lose power. One crisis at a time, Maya. But as Emma hung up and stared out at the swirling snow, she couldn't shake the feeling that the universe was laughing at her. Trapped in an isolated resort with her ex-fiancé and his bride-to-be, racing against a storm to pull off a wedding that felt like a cosmic joke. She showered and dressed, opting for professional armor, tailored black pants, and a cream silk blouse. By the time she made it downstairs, the resort was buzzing with controlled chaos. Staff rushed through hallways, guests clustered in worried groups, and Victoria stood in the center of the lobby looking like she might shatter. Emma, thank God. Victoria grabbed her hands. They're saying we can't do the wedding tomorrow, but my father, he's so sick. What if we wait and he can't make it? What if this storm lasts a week? We're not waiting. Emma's voice carried the authority she'd spent years cultivating. We're doing the wedding today. This afternoon, actually. The ceremony was always going to be in the resort's glass conservatory. We have the flowers, the food, the cake. Everything we need is already here. We just need to accelerate the timeline. Today, Victoria's eyes were wide. Can we really? I've pulled off weddings with less notice and fewer resources. Trust me. For the first time since Emma had arrived, Victoria's composure cracked. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't know what I'd do without you. Liam was right. You're incredible at this. The comment landed like a punch. Liam said that. Last night after you left, I was worried about having you here, about things being awkward, but he said you were the best wedding planner he'd ever seen, that you could handle anything. Victoria wiped her eyes. He said if anyone could make this perfect, it would be you. Emma didn't know what to do with that information, so she shoved it into the box in her mind labeled "Deal with Later" and focused on the immediate crisis. The next 6 hours were a blur of controlled chaos. Emma coordinated with the resort staff, repositioned decorations, adjusted the timeline, calmed hysterical bridesmaids, and managed 1,000 tiny details that threatened to derail everything. Maya handled the technical aspects while Emma managed the human elements, the scared guests, the anxious bride, the increasingly aggressive storm battering the windows. She managed to avoid Liam entirely until 2 in the afternoon, when she found him in the empty conservatory, staring out at the white void beyond the glass walls. "The ceremony is in 3 hours," she said without preamble. "You need to be in the groom's suite getting ready in 20 minutes. He didn't turn around. "Do you remember our wedding day?" "Liam, don't." "I woke up early, 5 in the morning. I couldn't sleep because I was so happy. I kept thinking, in 12 hours Emma will be my wife. I get to spend the rest of my life with her." His voice was hollow. Then at 7:30 my phone rang. Emma's hand clenched around her tablet. "I don't want to hear this." My father was crying. I'd never heard him cry before. Liam finally turned to face her. He said, "I'm sorry, son. I'm so sorry. They're coming for me. I've destroyed everything." Stop, but Emma couldn't move, couldn't leave. He'd been embezzling for years. Millions from everyone, investors, partners, Victoria's family trust. The FBI was at his door. He was going to prison. Liam's laugh was broken. He begged me to run with him, to leave everything and disappear. And I said no. I said I was getting married, that I'd help him face it, that we'd figure it out together. The conservatory was silent, except for the howl of wind against glass. "Then I heard the gunshot," Liam continued. "While I was on the phone with him, he said, 'I love you,' and then nothing, just that sound and silence." Emma's tablet slipped from her fingers, clattering against the marble floor. "Oh my God." "I drove to his house, found him, called the police, and then I just broke. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything except sit in a holding room while they asked me questions and took my statement and tried to piece together what he'd done." His eyes met hers, and they were full of anguish that made her chest ache. "By the time I could function again, it was 8 at night. The wedding was over, you were gone, and I thought maybe it was better that way. Better than dragging you into the nightmare my life had become." "You should have called me," Emma's voice broke. "You should have told me." "I tried, a week later, a month later, 6 months later. Every time I picked up the phone, I couldn't do it. What was I supposed to say? 'Sorry I ruined your life, but my father stole money and killed himself, so I fell apart. You deserved better than that, better than me.' That wasn't your decision to make." The anger that Emma had been suppressing for 3 years finally erupted. "You don't get to decide what I deserved. You don't get to destroy me and then claim it was for my own good." "I know," Liam's voice was barely audible. "I know I should have fought for you, should have explained, should have done 1,000 things differently. But Emma, I couldn't drag you into what came after. The investigations, the lawsuits. The people who wanted to destroy me because of what my father did. I spent 2 years paying back every penny he stole, working 20-hour days, becoming someone I didn't recognize just to restore the family name. And Victoria," the question tasted like poison. "Her father's company was one of the ones my father stole from. When I finished paying him back, he said he'd forgive the remaining debt if I married Victoria. Combined our families, made it right." Liam's smile was bitter. "He's dying. It's his last wish. And I owed him everything, so I said yes." "You're marrying her out of obligation." "I'm marrying her because I destroyed her family's legacy, and this is how I fix it." "That's insane, Liam, that's." "Fair, it's fair, Emma. I ruined lives. This is how I make amends." Emma wanted to scream at him, to shake him, to make him see how wrong this was. But Victoria's face swam in her mind. Victoria, who had been nothing but kind. Victoria, whose dying father wanted to see her settled and happy. Victoria, who had no idea she was marrying a man who didn't love her. "Does she know?" Emma asked quietly. "Does Victoria know you're doing this to pay off a debt?" "She knows about my father. She knows about the arrangement. She's okay with it. She says love will come eventually." "And will it?" Liam looked at her for a long moment. No. The single word hung between them, heavy with meaning. Then call it off, Emma said. Don't do this to her, don't do this to yourself. I can't. I owe her father everything. And maybe this is what I deserve, to marry someone I don't love because I let go of the person I did. Before Emma could respond, the conservatory doors burst open. Maya rushed in, her face pale. Emma, we have a problem. The main generator just failed completely. We're on backup power, but it won't last more than a few hours. And the storm, it's getting worse. They're saying we might be trapped here for a week, not days. A week trapped with Liam, watching him marry Victoria, pretending her heart wasn't being torn apart piece by piece. Get the wedding moved up, Emma said automatically. We do it in 2 hours instead of 3, before we lose power completely. Maya nodded and disappeared. Emma turned back to Liam. You need to get ready. Your bride is waiting. Emma, just don't. You made your choice 3 years ago and you're making another one today. I can't stop you. I can only do my job and get through this. She walked away, leaving him alone in the conservatory as the storm raged outside. The wedding was beautiful. Emma had made sure of it. Despite the shortened timeline, despite the failing power, despite the storm that now hammered against the glass with such force that guests flinched with each gust. The conservatory glowed with candlelight and strategically placed battery-powered lights. White roses and winter greenery transformed the space into an ethereal wonderland. A string quartet played softly, and Victoria looked like a dream in her ivory gown, her father leaning heavily on her arm as he walked her down the aisle. Emma watched from the back, ensuring every detail was perfect, and tried not to look at Liam's face. But she couldn't help it, and what she saw there made her breath catch. He was looking at Victoria with respect, with kindness, with gratitude, but not with love, never with love. The ceremony was short, intimate, personal vows that Victoria had written with such obvious care and hope. Liam's vows were beautiful too, but Emma could hear the careful construction in them, the way he promised partnership and honor and devotion without ever saying the word love. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Applause filled the conservatory. Victoria kissed Liam, beaming with joy. Her father was crying openly, his thin frame shaking with emotion. Emma slipped out before the recessional, unable to watch anymore. She found herself in a small alcove near the resort library, finally letting the tears fall. I thought I might find you here. Emma's head snapped up. Victoria stood in the doorway, still in her wedding gown, looking ethereal and heartbreakingly lovely. I'm sorry, Emma said quickly, wiping her eyes. I just needed a moment. The wedding was perfect. You looked beautiful. Emma, Victoria's voice was gentle. I know. Know what? That he's in love with you. That he's always been in love with you. The floor seemed to drop out from under Emma's feet. Victoria, I would never. I know you wouldn't. You've been nothing but professional and kind. Victoria sat down beside her, arranging her skirts carefully. I saw it the moment you walked into the lobby. The way he looked at you. The way he stopped breathing for just a second. The way his whole body tensed like he was preparing for battle or prayer. I couldn't tell which. Then why did you go through with the wedding? Because my father is dying and this was his last wish. Because Liam has worked so hard to restore his family's honor and I could give him that. Because I thought if we went through with it, if we committed, that would be enough. That he'd eventually feel for me what he feels for you. Victoria's smile was sad. But standing at that altar, saying those vows, I realized I was being selfish. I was taking something that wasn't mine to take. Victoria. I'm not a martyr, Emma. I'm not going to dramatically annul the marriage or anything. We signed a legal contract and I'll honor it. But I want you to know I see you. I see him. And I'm sorry you're hurting. Before Emma could respond, a scream split the air. Both women jumped up, rushing toward the sound. They found the reception area in chaos. Guests were shouting, staff running in all directions. And in the center of it all, Liam stood with Derek, both men looking at Victoria's sister Natalie, who was sobbing hysterically. "What happened?" Victoria demanded. Natalie looked up, mascara streaming down her face. "Victoria, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. I was just upset. I went to your room to cool off and the window was open and—" "What are you talking about?" Victoria's voice rose with panic. Derek stepped forward, his face grim. "Victoria, your wedding ring, the one that belonged to your grandmother. Natalie says she saw it on your dresser, but when she went to put it away safely, she dropped it. It fell out the window into the snow. The heirloom ring, worth over $100,000, but more than that, irreplaceable. 4 generations of Victoria's family had worn it." "We'll find it," Liam said immediately, "as soon as the storm passes." "It's supposed to snow for days," someone said. "By the time we can search, it'll be buried under feet of snow." Victoria swayed and Emma caught her elbow. "I need to sit down." They got her to a chair. Her father was already there, looking gray and exhausted from the wedding. The celebration that should have been joyous had turned into disaster. "We can search now," Emma heard herself say. "The snow is heavy, but it's not impossible to navigate near the building. If we go now before more accumulates—" "That's insane," Maya protested. "The visibility is terrible, it's dangerous." "I'll go," Liam said. "It's my responsibility." "I'm coming with you," Emma added. She didn't know why, didn't want to examine her motives too closely, but something in her refused to let him go out there alone. "Emma, no," Maya started. "I'll be fine. We'll stay close to the building. 20 minutes, that's all." 10 minutes later, Emma was bundled in borrowed winter gear, standing at the resort's back entrance with Liam. The wind hit them like a physical force the moment they stepped outside. "Stay close," Liam shouted over the howl of the storm. "Hold on to me." His hand found hers, strong and warm even through thick gloves. And despite everything, the pain, the anger, the impossibility of it all, Emma held on. They searched in the darkness, flashlight beams cutting through swirling white. The cold was brutal, seeping through layers of clothing. Emma's fingers were going numb, her face stinging from the wind-driven snow. "There," Liam pulled her toward a small glint in the snow, but it was just ice catching the light. They kept searching, moving farther from the building than they'd planned. Time became meaningless. Emma lost track of how long they'd been out there. All she knew was cold and white and Liam's hand in hers. "We need to go back," she finally said. "This is useless, we can't see anything." Liam nodded. They turned back toward the resort and Emma's heart stopped. She couldn't see it. The building had vanished in the whiteout conditions. "Liam," her voice shook, "which way?" He pulled out his phone, trying to use the GPS, but the screen showed no signal. They were completely disoriented. "Don't panic," he said, but Emma could hear the tension in his voice. "We just need to." His foot caught on something hidden beneath the snow. He went down hard, pulling Emma with him. They tumbled down a slope neither of them had seen, rolling through deep powder until they crashed against something solid. Emma's head was spinning. Snow was everywhere, in her mouth, her nose, her eyes. She struggled to sit up and realized they'd fallen into some kind of sheltered area. Above them, barely visible through the storm, was a rocky overhang. "Emma, are you hurt?" Liam was beside her, hands checking for injuries. "I don't think so, you." "I'm fine, but Emma," he was looking at something beyond her. She turned. They weren't alone in this shelter. Huddled against the far wall, barely visible in the dim light, was a figure in white. Victoria's wedding dress, soaked with snow, and something dark, something red. Emma's scream was swallowed by the storm as they rushed forward and saw Victoria's face, pale as death, eyes closed. But this was Victoria. The shape was wrong, the size too small. It was Natalie, Victoria's sister, wearing Victoria's dress, and the red wasn't blood. It was wine, spilled across the expensive fabric. "What the hell?" Liam breathed. Natalie's eyes fluttered open. She looked at them with pure terror. "Please," she whispered, "please don't tell Victoria. I just wanted to try it on, just once, to feel like I was the one who mattered." Emma's mind reeled. Natalie had stolen into Victoria's room, put on the wedding dress, and then, what? Run out into the storm. Why? "We need to get back to the resort," Emma said. "All of us, now." But as they helped Natalie to her feet, Emma realized with sinking dread that they had no idea which direction the resort was. And her phone, she discovered with a jolt of fear, was gone, lost somewhere in the fall. They were trapped in a blizzard with no communication, no sense of direction, and the temperature dropping by the minute. Liam pulled them all closer to the overhang, trying to shield them from the worst of the wind. "We wait," he said. "They'll send a search party. They know we came out here." But Emma could see the worry in his eyes. In these conditions, a search party might not find them until morning. If they survived that long. She huddled against Liam's side, feeling Natalie shivering on her other side, and wondered how her life had become this twisted nightmare. Somewhere above them, in the warm resort, Victoria was waiting for her husband to return. The husband who had just married her out of obligation while his heart belonged to someone else. The husband who was now lost in a storm with his ex-fiancé. The irony would have been funny if Emma wasn't so terrified they might die out here. Liam's arm tightened around her. "I've got you," he murmured against her ear. "I'm not losing you again, not like this." And despite everything, Emma let herself lean into him, just for a moment. Because if these were her last hours, she didn't want to spend them pretending she didn't still love him. Even if loving him was the most dangerous thing she'd ever done. Time lost all meaning in the white void. Emma's body alternated between violent shivers and dangerous numbness. Liam had pulled them into the tightest huddle possible, his body serving as a windbreak for both women. Natalie had stopped crying and started rambling, words tumbling out in a stream of consciousness that bordered on delirium. "She's always been perfect," Natalie muttered, her teeth chattering. "Perfect grades, perfect friends, perfect life, and I'm just there. In the background, the sister nobody remembers. When Dad got sick, you know what he said? He said, 'Take care of Victoria. Not both of you, not my daughters, just Victoria.'" "Natalie, save your energy," Emma tried to say, but her own lips were so cold the words came out slurred. "I didn't mean to drop the ring. I was holding it, pretending it was mine, pretending someone loved me enough to give me something that precious. And then I heard someone coming and I panicked and it just slipped." Natalie laughed, a high, brittle sound. "Story of my life, trying to hold onto something beautiful and watching it fall." Liam's phone buzzed suddenly, a brief moment of signal. He fumbled for it with clumsy fingers, managing to send a quick location pin before the service died again. "They know where we are," he said. "They'll come." But Emma could hear the doubt in his voice. The storm was getting worse, not better. Even with a location, reaching them would be nearly impossible. "Liam," Emma said quietly so Natalie wouldn't hear, "if we don't make it, don't. Let me say this, please." She turned to look at him, their faces inches apart in the darkness. "I need you to know that I forgave you, a long time ago. I was just too angry to admit it, too hurt, but I understood why you ran, and I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. Emma, you have nothing to apologize for. I'm the one who—" "SHH," she pressed her frozen fingers to his lips. "We don't have time for guilt. We might not have time for anything, so I need you to hear this. Loving you was the best thing I ever did. Even the pain after it was worth it. Because for a little while I got to be loved by Liam Ashford, and that was everything." Something broke in Liam's expression. He pulled her closer, his forehead pressing against hers. "I never stopped. Emma, I need you to know that. Every single day for 3 years I thought about you, wondered if you were happy, hoped you found someone who could give you everything I couldn't. There was no one else. There couldn't be. How do you move on from the person who took half your heart with them when they left? Liam's breath hitched. And then, perhaps because they were going to die out here, perhaps because the truth demanded to be spoken, he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and raw and tasted like goodbye. Emma kissed him back with 3 years of longing and grief and love that had never died no matter how hard she tried to bury it. His hands cupped her face, and she gripped his jacket. And for a moment the cold didn't matter, the storm didn't matter. Nothing mattered except this. Natalie's soft sob broke them apart. Reality crashed back. Liam was married. He just married Victoria hours ago. And Emma had kissed him anyway, had wanted it, had needed it like oxygen. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered, pulling back. "That was—" "Don't apologize." Liam's voice was rough. "Don't you dare apologize for that." But the guilt was already settling over Emma like a shroud. What kind of person was she? Victoria had been nothing but kind, and Emma had just kissed her husband on her wedding day. Lights suddenly pierced the darkness. Voices shouted through the storm. "Here, we're here." Liam was on his feet, waving his arms, his phone flashlight cutting through the white. The rescue team reached them minutes later, resort staff equipped with ropes and thermal blankets and handheld radios. They were bundled up quickly, tethered together, and guided back through the blizzard. The resort materialized like a beacon, windows glowing warm and safe. Victoria met them at the entrance, her face streaked with tears. She threw herself at Liam, sobbing with relief. "Oh, thank God, thank God. I thought I'd lost you, I thought." "I'm fine," Liam said, his arms coming around her automatically. "We're all fine." But over Victoria's shoulder, his eyes found Emma's. The look in them made her want to run, to hide, to disappear. What had they done? The resort doctor examined all three of them, declaring them miraculously unharmed aside from minor hypothermia and some bruising. Emma was given hot tea and warm clothes and sent to her suite with instructions to rest. She couldn't rest. She paced her room like a caged animal, replaying the kiss over and over. The feel of Liam's lips on hers. The way her body had responded despite the cold, despite everything. The absolute rightness and wrongness of it all tangled together until she couldn't breathe. A knock on her door made her jump. Maya stood in the hallway, her expression unreadable. "We need to talk." "I know what you're going to say." "Do you?" Maya pushed past her into the room, closing the door firmly. "Because I'm not sure you understand the magnitude of what just happened. Emma, you kissed a man on his wedding day, a man who is our client, a man who is married to another client." "I know," Emma's voice was barely a whisper. "I know it was wrong, it was so wrong. But Maya, we thought we were dying, and I needed him to know." "That you still love him, I get it. I do. But Emma, this isn't just about your feelings anymore. This is about our business, our reputation, if this gets out." "It won't. It was just a kiss. In a moment of crisis, it doesn't mean anything." The lie tasted bitter. Maya studied her for a long moment. "Does he love you back?" "It doesn't matter." "That's not what I asked." Emma sank onto the bed, her head in her hands. "Yes, he does. He said so. Out there in the storm, he told me he never stopped." "Oh, Emma," Maya sat beside her. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing, absolutely nothing. He's married. Victoria is a good person. I'm going to finish this job, collect our payment, and never see Liam Ashford again." "Can you do that? Can you really just walk away?" Before Emma could answer, another knock sounded. Both women froze. Emma opened the door to find Victoria standing there, still in her wedding dress but with a thick cardigan wrapped around her shoulders. Her eyes were red from crying. "Can I come in?" Victoria asked softly. Maya stood immediately. I'll go check on the final details for tomorrow's brunch." She squeezed Emma's shoulder on her way out, a silent gesture of support. Victoria entered slowly, looking around the suite as if seeing it for the first time. This is nice. Cozy. Victoria, I'm so sorry about what happened. About Natalie, about the ring, about... He told me. Victoria's voice was calm, too calm, about the kiss. Emma's world tilted. He what? Liam, he came to our suite an hour ago and told me everything. About the kiss. About what he said to you out there. Victoria moved to the window, staring out at the still raging storm. He said he couldn't start our marriage with a lie between us. Victoria, I am so sorry. It was a moment of weakness, of fear. It meant nothing. Please don't lie to me too. Victoria turned and her expression was heartbreaking in its composure. It meant everything to both of you. Emma couldn't find words. She stood there frozen, waiting for the anger, the accusations, the justified rage. Instead, Victoria smiled sadly. I told you earlier that I knew he was in love with you. I meant it. I've known from the beginning. I thought maybe if we went through with it, if we committed to each other, that would be enough. That love would grow. But you can't force someone to feel what they don't feel. So what happens now? Emma asked quietly. Now we finish what we started. The storm should break tomorrow. Guests will leave the day after. We'll have our post-wedding brunch, smile for photos, and maintain the illusion that everything is perfect. Victoria's voice was steady, but Emma could see the pain beneath it. My father is dying, Emma. He's probably only got weeks left. He went to sleep tonight happy, believing his daughter was settled and safe. I won't take that from him. But what about you? What about your happiness? My happiness stopped mattering the day the doctors told us Dad had 6 months to live. That was 8 months ago. Every day since then has been borrowed time. Victoria's composure finally cracked. I'm not a martyr. I'm not even particularly noble. I'm just a daughter trying to give her father peace before he goes. Is that so terrible? No, Emma said, moving to her. No, it's not terrible. It's one of the most loving things I've ever heard. Then help me, please. Help me get through the next 2 days. Help me maintain this beautiful lie so my father can die believing I'm going to be okay. Emma wanted to refuse, wanted to tell Victoria she deserved better than this. But looking into those blue eyes, seeing the desperation and grief there, she found herself nodding. Okay, yes, we'll get through this together. Victoria hugged her suddenly, fiercely. Thank you. And Emma, for what it's worth, I think you and Liam would have been extraordinary together. In another life, another situation, I would have been rooting for you. After Victoria left, Emma sat alone in her suite, staring at the wall and wondering how her life had become a Greek tragedy. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I need to see you, room 412, please, L. Emma stared at the message for a long time. Every rational part of her brain screamed that going to Liam's room would be a catastrophic mistake. He was married. Victoria was being impossibly gracious and selfless, and Emma would be betraying that grace by going to him. But her fingers were already typing a response. Give me 20 minutes. Room 412 was at the far end of the resort, in a wing that had been kept dark to conserve the failing power. Emma navigated the dim hallways like a ghost, her heart hammering against her ribs. Liam opened the door on her first knock. He'd showered and changed into dark jeans and a gray sweater, his hair still damp. The room behind him was small, a standard guest room, not the penthouse suite he shared with Victoria. You came, he said, relief evident in his voice. I shouldn't have, but Emma stepped inside anyway. The door clicked shut behind her. And suddenly they were alone, truly alone for the first time since the conservatory. The air between them crackled with tension. Victoria told me she talked to you, Liam said, about the kiss, about everything. She's being incredibly understanding about the fact that her husband kissed his ex-fiancé on their wedding day. I know, Liam ran his hands through his hair. I know how this looks, Emma. I know how wrong this is, but I could not tell her, and I could not see you. We need to talk about what happened out there. What's there to talk about? You said you still love me. I said I forgave you. We kissed. And now you're married to someone else. End of story. Is it? Liam moved closer. Is it really that simple for you? Nothing about this is simple, Liam. You married Victoria. You made vows to her today. What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me the truth. Do you still love me? The question hung in the air between them, dangerous and essential. Yes, the word came out broken. Yes, I still love you. I never stopped loving you. Even when I hated you, even when I wanted to forget you existed, I loved you. And it doesn't matter. It can't matter. Liam closed the distance between them. What if it does matter? What if? What if what, Liam? What if you leave her, on your wedding day, make a mockery of the vows you just made, destroy Victoria and break her dying father's heart? And for what? For me? For us? Emma shook her head. I won't be that person. I won't be the reason you destroy someone else's life. So we just, what? Pretend none of this happened. Go back to being strangers. Yes, that's exactly what we do. I can't do that. Liam's voice was raw. Emma, I've spent 3 years trying to move on from you. 3 years trying to convince myself that what we had wasn't real, that it was just young love, that I could be happy with someone else. And I can't. I tried. God knows I tried. But seeing you again, being near you, it's like my heart remembered what living felt like. Liam, please stop. Why? Because the truth is inconvenient. Because it complicates things. I'm already married to a woman I don't love to pay off a debt I didn't incur. My life is already complicated. At least with you, it would be complicated and honest. It would be cruel to Victoria, to yourself, to me. Emma stepped back, putting distance between them. You made a choice today. You married her. You need to honor that. Even if it destroys me. Even then. They stared at each other across the small room, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them. Finally, Liam nodded. Okay, you're right, you're always right. His smile was bitter. I'll stay away from you. I'll be the husband Victoria deserves. And you'll plan the rest of the post-wedding events and then leave, and we'll never see each other again. That's how it has to be. Then why does it feel like I'm losing you all over again? Emma had no answer for that. She moved to the door, her hand on the knob, ready to leave and do the right thing. Then Liam spoke again, his voice barely a whisper. Emma, wait, there's something else, something I need to tell you before you go. She turned back. The look on his face made her stomach drop. When I was out there in the storm with you, when I thought we might die, I realized something. About the night I left you at the altar, about everything that happened after. Liam's hands were shaking. My father didn't just steal from Victoria's family, he stole from yours too. Emma froze. What? Your father's investment fund, the one that collapsed 2 years ago, the one that destroyed your family's savings and forced you to start your business from nothing. Liam's voice broke. Emma, that was my father. He embezzled from your father too. And I've known since a week after the wedding, since the FBI gave me the full list of victims. The room spun. Emma grabbed the doorframe to steady herself. You knew, she said slowly. You knew your father destroyed my family and you never told me. I couldn't. How could I? How could I tell you that the man who was supposed to be my father, who was supposed to protect people, destroyed your family? How could I look you in the eye and... Get out, Emma's voice was ice. Emma, please. Get out of this room or I'm leaving. You don't get to drop that on me and then expect. She couldn't finish, couldn't breathe. Liam moved toward the door, his face stricken. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I should have told you years ago. I should have. But Emma was already gone, stumbling down the dark hallway, her mind reeling. Her father, her gentle, kind father who had worked his whole life to build security for his family, who had lost everything in what they'd been told was a market collapse, who had died of a heart attack 6 months later, the stress and shame too much for his weakened heart. Liam had known and said nothing. Emma made it to her suite before the sobs came. Great, wrenching sounds that tore from her chest. Maya found her there 20 minutes later, curled on the bathroom floor, unable to stop crying. "What happened? Emma, talk to me." And Emma told her everything. About the kiss, about Liam's confession, about the revelation that had shattered what was left of her heart. Maya held her while she cried, making soothing sounds, but Emma could see the calculation in her friend's eyes. "We're leaving," Maya said finally. "As soon as the storm breaks, we'll forfeit the final payment if we have to. We're getting you out of here." "We can't, Victoria. Victoria's husband destroyed your family and never told you. You don't owe them anything, Emma. You don't owe him anything." But that was the problem, wasn't it? Emma did owe Victoria something, because Victoria was innocent in all of this. Victoria was being used by Liam just as much as Emma had been abandoned by him. "I'm finishing the job," Emma said, her voice steadier now. "Not for Liam, for Victoria, and for our business, but Maya, I need you to keep him away from me. I can't look at him right now." Maya nodded. "Consider it done." That night, Emma lay awake in her suite, listening to the storm rage outside, and wondered how much more her heart could break before there was nothing left to shatter. Somewhere in the resort, Liam was lying awake too, probably hatting himself. Good, he should hate himself. Because Emma had loved him despite everything, had forgiven him for leaving, had been ready to let him go so he could be happy with Victoria. But this betrayal was too much. Her father had died believing he'd made bad investments, that he'd failed his family. He died without knowing the truth, that he'd been the victim of a crime, that his trust had been exploited by someone else's greed. And Liam had let that happen, had let her father die in shame when the truth might have given him peace. Emma would finish this job, would smile through the post-wedding brunch, would maintain the illusion that everything was perfect. And then she would leave and never look back. Some things she was learning couldn't be forgiven, even by a heart that desperately wanted to. Morning came gray and hostile. The storm had finally exhausted itself sometime before dawn, leaving behind a world buried under 3 feet of pristine white. Emma watched from her window as resort staff began the Herculean task of digging out, their orange vests bright against the snow. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her father's face the day he'd told them about losing everything. The way his hands had shaken, the defeat in his voice. He apologized over and over, as if it were his fault, as if he'd been the one to steal from himself. A knock on the door. Emma didn't need to ask who it was. "Go away, Liam." "Emma, please, just give me 5 minutes. I gave you 3 years. I gave you my forgiveness. I gave you understanding even when you didn't deserve it. I don't have anything left to give you." Silence. Then, "Your father was a good man. I met him once at our engagement party. He pulled me aside and told me that loving you was going to be the greatest adventure of my life. He was right. Emma, I know I can't fix what my father did. I know telling you doesn't change anything. But I need you to know that I've spent the last 3 years trying to make it right. Every penny I've paid back, every deal I've made, it was all to correct what he destroyed. And that makes it okay. That makes up for letting my father die thinking he was a failure." "No, nothing makes that okay. But Emma, if I had told you back then when you were already destroyed by the wedding, when you were already drowning, what would that have done to you? How would you have survived knowing that?" Emma yanked the door open. Liam stood there in yesterday's clothes, looking like he'd aged a decade overnight. Dark circles shadowed his eyes and his jaw was rough with stubble. "You don't get to make that decision for me," Emma said, her voice shaking with fury. "You don't get to decide what I can handle. You did that once when you left me at the altar without explanation, and now I find out you've been doing it for 3 years. Protecting me from the truth because you decided I was too fragile to handle it. I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting myself. Because telling you would have meant watching you hate me, and I was too much of a coward to face that. The honesty of it stopped Emma cold. At least you finally admit it, she said quietly. You're a coward, Liam. You run from hard things. You ran from me when your father died. You ran into a marriage you don't want because it was easier than fighting. And you hid the truth about my father because facing my pain was too uncomfortable. You're right about all of it. Liam's voice broke. I'm a coward, I'm weak. I make terrible choices. But Emma, I swear to God I loved you. I still love you. That's the one thing I haven't lied about. Love isn't enough. It never was. Emma started to close the door, but Liam's hand shot out, stopping it. There's more, he said urgently. Something you need to know about Victoria. I don't want to hear it. She's not well, Emma. She's been hiding it, but she has the same genetic condition her father does. The cancer, it's hereditary. She found out 6 months ago. That's why she agreed to this marriage. She wanted to be settled before she got too sick to make decisions for herself. The door slipped from Emma's grasp. What? She has maybe 2 years, maybe less. The treatment options are limited and she's already showing symptoms. The wedding wasn't just about her father's wishes. It was about her own mortality. Emma felt the world tilt again. Does she know you know? No, I overheard her talking to her doctor yesterday before the ceremony. She doesn't know I know. And you married her anyway, knowing she's dying, knowing you don't love her. What was I supposed to do? Leave her to face that alone? At least this way she'll be taken care of. She'll have someone. She'll have someone who pities her, Emma said. That's almost worse than being alone. Before Liam could respond, Maya appeared at the end of the hallway, moving quickly toward them. Emma, you need to come now. It's Victoria. Something's wrong. They found Victoria in the resort's small medical center, her face pale and drawn, her breathing labored. The doctor was checking her vitals while Natalie hovered nearby, looking terrified. What happened? Liam was at Victoria's side immediately, taking her hand. She collapsed, Natalie said, tears streaming down her face. She was getting ready for the brunch and she just fell. I couldn't catch her in time. The doctor looked grim. Her vitals are stable now, but I'm concerned. She needs to get to a proper hospital. The resort medical facilities aren't equipped for anything serious. The roads, Liam asked. Being cleared now, but it'll be hours before they're passable. And there's another storm system moving in tonight. Helicopter. Already requested, but the winds are still too strong, maybe in an hour or two. Victoria's eyes fluttered open. She saw them all gathered around her and managed a weak smile. Sorry to ruin the post-wedding brunch. Don't, Liam said softly. Don't apologize, we're getting you out of here. Victoria's gaze found Emma. Can I talk to her, alone? Liam looked like he wanted to protest but nodded, standing reluctantly. He, Maya, and Natalie filed out, leaving Emma alone with Victoria. I'm dying, Victoria said simply, in case you hadn't figured that out yet. Liam told me I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't be, I've known for months. I've made my peace with it. Victoria struggled to sit up, and Emma helped adjust her pillows. What I haven't made peace with is leaving Liam trapped in a marriage to a ghost. Victoria. Let me finish, please. I don't have much time and I need to say this. Victoria took a shaky breath. I knew Liam didn't love me when I agreed to marry him. I knew about you, about what you meant to him. And I married him anyway because I was scared of dying alone. That's the truth. Not some noble sacrifice for my father, just pure, selfish fear. That's not selfish, that's human. Maybe, but it was wrong. I trapped a man who loves someone else into being my caretaker, and I trapped you into watching the man you love be with someone else. That's not kindness. That's cruelty dressed up as duty. Emma's throat tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm going to fix this, before it's too late, before I'm too sick to make things right. Victoria reached for Emma's hand. Promise me something. When I'm gone, don't let him be alone. Don't let guilt or obligation or whatever other demons he carries keep him from being happy. Promise me you'll give both of you, a second chance. Victoria, you can't ask me that. I'm dying, Emma. I can ask anything I want. Victoria's smile was sad but genuine. I'm not asking you to wait for me to die. I'm asking you to promise that when I'm gone, you won't let my memory be another chain around his neck. Promise me you'll let him love you the way he should have been allowed to from the start. Tears were streaming down Emma's face. I promise. Good. Victoria squeezed her hand weakly. Now send my husband back in. I need to tell him the same thing. Emma stumbled out of the medical center, nearly colliding with Liam in the hallway. She wants to see you. Liam studied her face, taking in the tears. What did she say? Just go talk to her. She needs you. Emma made it to an empty conference room before she completely broke down. The sobs came from somewhere deep, a well of grief she hadn't known existed. For Victoria, dying young and trying to orchestrate happiness for the people she was leaving behind. For her father, who had died in shame for a crime he didn't commit. For Liam, carrying guilt that was destroying him piece by piece. For herself, loving someone she couldn't have and hating him for things he couldn't change. Emma. She looked up to find Natalie standing in the doorway, her expression unreadable. I need to tell you something, Natalie said. About Victoria, about the ring, about everything. Natalie, now's not really the time. I didn't drop the ring by accident. The words came out in a rush. I threw it out the window, on purpose, because I wanted to ruin her perfect day. Emma stared. Why are you telling me this? Because Victoria knows. She's always known. She saw me do it from down the hallway. Natalie's face crumpled. And she didn't say anything, didn't call me out. Just let me pretend it was an accident because she knew I was hurting. Because even dying, even on her wedding day, she was thinking about me. Natalie. She's the best person I know, and I've spent my whole life resenting her for it. And now she's dying, and I wasted all this time being jealous instead of just loving her while I could. Emma moved to her, pulling the sobbing woman into a hug. You have time now. Whatever time she has left, you can make it count. Can you make it count with Liam? The question hung in the air. Emma didn't have an answer. The helicopter arrived 2 hours later, fighting through lingering winds to land on the resort's emergency pad. Victoria was stabilized enough to transport, and the plan was to fly her to Denver General where specialists were waiting. Liam was going with her, of course, as was Natalie and Victoria's father, who looked grayer and frailer than he had at the wedding. The remaining guests were being evacuated as well, now that the roads were being cleared. The perfect 3-day wedding celebration was ending in chaos and fear. Emma stood with Maya in the lobby, watching the organized evacuation, feeling numb. You should go with them, Maya said quietly. You should go to the hospital. Why? I'm not family. I'm just the wedding planner who kissed the groom. You're more than that, and you know it. Before Emma could respond, Liam appeared, dressed for travel, a duffel bag over his shoulder. Emma, I need to go, but I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't cover it. I'm sorry doesn't fix anything. I just... Go take care of your wife, Liam. He flinched at the word wife but nodded. When this is over, when Victoria is stable, I need to see you again. We need to talk about everything. There's nothing left to talk about. Emma. Mr. Ashford, a staff member called. The helicopter is ready. We need to go now. Liam looked torn, like he wanted to say more, to do more. But time had run out, the way it always did. He moved to leave, then turned back suddenly. I know you probably won't believe me, but meeting you again, even like this, even with all this pain, it reminded me what it feels like to be alive. So thank you for that, at least. Then he was gone, jogging across the snowy landscape to the waiting helicopter. Emma watched it lift off, carrying him away from her for what she told herself was the final time. "We should pack," Maya said. "Get out of here before the next storm hits." But Emma couldn't move. She stood at the window, watching the helicopter disappear into the gray sky, and felt something shift inside her. Victoria was dying. Her father was dying. And Liam was trapped in a cage of his own making, trying to be noble when all it did was destroy everyone involved. Emma's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Emma, it's Victoria. I gave Natalie your number. I need you to know something. In my nightstand there's an envelope for you. Please read it. And please don't let my dying wish be the thing that keeps you and Liam apart. Sometimes the right thing and the kind thing aren't the same. Choose kindness. V." Emma stared at the message. Maya was watching her. "What is it?" "I need to go to Victoria's room." "Emma, I know how this looks, but I need to do this." The evergreen penthouse was unlocked. Emma stepped inside, feeling like an intruder. The suite was massive, all windows and luxury, with evidence of the rushed departure everywhere, clothes strewn about, Victoria's wedding dress hanging in the corner, Liam's laptop still open on the desk. Emma found the nightstand. The envelope was right there, her name written in Victoria's elegant script. She opened it with shaking hands. "Dear Emma asterisk, if you're reading this, I've either been evacuated to the hospital or I've died. Either way, time is short, so I need to be direct. I lied to you about a lot of things. I'm not as gracious as I pretended. I'm not as understanding. The truth is, I was furious when I realized Liam was in love with you. Furious and heartbroken and petty. I wanted to hate you. I wanted you to be terrible so I could feel justified in keeping him. But you weren't terrible. You were professional and kind, and you clearly loved him just as much as he loved you. And that made everything worse. So I made a choice. A selfish choice. I decided that if I couldn't have his love, I'd at least have his presence. I'd have someone to hold my hand while I died. And I used my father's wishes and my illness and every bit of emotional manipulation I could muster to trap him. I'm not proud of that, but I'm also dying, and dying makes you selfish. Here's what I need you to understand. Liam Ashford is a good man who makes terrible choices out of misguided honor. He will stay with me until the end because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He will sacrifice his happiness and yours on the altar of duty. Don't let him. I'm giving you permission, not that you need it, but maybe it helps to fight for him. To tell him that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone who's dying is let them go, to free them to be happy. My father taught me that love isn't about possession. It's about wanting the best for someone, even when that doesn't include you, especially when that doesn't include you. I love Liam enough to let him go. Can you love him enough to catch him? In this envelope, you'll also find my lawyer's card. I've already spoken to him about annulment proceedings. It turns out there are clauses for situations like mine. Medical incapacity, failure to consummate, we haven't, by the way. Liam insisted on separate rooms, mutual agreement. It won't be immediate, but it can be done. The question is, do you want it to be done? If you do, call the lawyer. Fight for your second chance. Don't let my death be the thing that keeps you and Liam apart forever. If you don't, burn this letter and forget I said anything. I'll understand. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes too much damage has been done. But Emma, I hope you fight, because the world has enough tragedy already. It could use a love story. With respect and perhaps even friendship, asterisk. Victoria. Emma read the letter 3 times, tears blurring the words. A business card fell out, asterisk James Morrison, family law attorney asterisk, with a phone number written on the back in Victoria's handwriting. This was insane. Victoria was giving her permission to pursue her dying husband, to dismantle their marriage before it had barely begun. It was wrong, it was complicated, it was impossible. It was also the kindest, most selfless thing anyone had ever done for Emma. She pulled out her phone, staring at the lawyer's number. Maya appeared in the doorway. "Emma, you okay? What's that?" Emma held out the letter. Maya read it, her eyes growing wider with each line. "Oh my God," Maya breathed. She's giving him to you. She's trying to fix the mess we're all in. So what are you going to do?" Emma looked at the business card, at the letter, at the evidence of Victoria's impossible generosity. What was she going to do? Her phone rang, an unknown number. She answered. "Emma Parker," a male voice, professional. "Yes. This is Dr. Reeves from Denver General. I'm calling about Victoria Ashford. I have you listed as an emergency contact." Emma's heart stopped. "Is she?" "She's stable, but she's asked to see you. She's insisting, actually, says it's urgent. Can you come?" Emma looked at Maya, at the letter in her hands, at the impossible choice in front of her. "Yes," she heard herself say. "I'll be there as soon as I can." She hung up and started moving, grabbing her coat, her bag, her keys. "Emma, what are you doing?" Maya called after her. "Something stupid, something right, I don't know which yet." Emma ran through the resort, out to the parking lot where her rental car was buried under snow. She started digging with her bare hands, staff members coming to help when they saw her desperation. 20 minutes later, she was on the road, driving through treacherous conditions toward Denver, toward the hospital, toward whatever Victoria needed to tell her. Toward Liam. The drive should have taken 4 hours. Emma made it in 3, pushing the rental car to its limits on half-cleared roads, her mind racing faster than the wheels. She kept thinking about second chances, about the cosmic joke of finding your soulmate and losing them and finding them again, only to discover they belong to someone else. About Victoria's letter, giving permission Emma hadn't asked for but desperately needed. About whether love could survive this much damage. Denver General loomed ahead, massive and impersonal. Emma parked illegally and ran inside, still wearing her snow-covered coat, her hair a mess, looking nothing like the composed professional who had arrived at Mountain Ridge Resort 3 days ago. 3 days. It had only been 3 days, and her entire world had been destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed again. "Victoria Ashford," she gasped at the reception desk. "I'm Emma Parker, she asked for me." The nurse checked her computer, made a call, then nodded. "4th floor, room 412, but ma'am, she's very weak, please don't stay long." Emma took the elevator up, her heart hammering. The hallway was quiet, sterile, depressing. She found room 412 and stopped outside, trying to catch her breath. Through the window, she could see Liam sitting beside Victoria's bed, holding her hand, his head bowed. The image was so intimate, so heartbreaking, that Emma almost turned around. Then Victoria's eyes opened. She saw Emma through the window and smiled. Emma pushed open the door. "You came," Victoria said, her voice weak but clear. "I wasn't sure you would." "You asked me to, of course I came." Liam stood looking shocked. "Emma, how did you?" "The doctor called. Victoria listed me as an emergency contact." "I did," Victoria confirmed, "because I need both of you here for this." She struggled to sit up more, wincing. "Liam, Emma read my letter. She knows about the annulment papers." Liam's face went pale. "Victoria, what?" "I'm freeing you," Victoria said simply. "Both of you. From this impossible situation I created because I was scared and selfish." "You weren't selfish," Liam protested. "I agreed to this marriage. I made vows to you." "Vows you made out of obligation. Liam, I'm dying. Maybe I have 2 years, maybe 6 months, maybe less. I don't want to spend whatever time I have left watching you force yourself to love me while your heart is somewhere else." She looked at Emma. "And I don't want Emma to spend it watching the man she loves play caretaker to his dying wife." "So what are you suggesting?" Emma asked, her voice shaking. "I'm suggesting we end this marriage, quietly, quickly, before it destroys all of us. I'll move back in with my father for whatever time we both have left. Liam will be free, And you too, Victoria smiled sadly. You too will have the chance you should have had 3 years ago. I can't leave you, Liam said. Not when you're sick, not when you need. I don't need a martyr, Liam. I need a friend. Can you be that instead of a husband? The question hung in the air. Liam looked at Emma, then back at Victoria. I don't deserve either of you. Probably not, Victoria agreed, and despite everything, Emma found herself almost laughing. But Emma loves you anyway, and I care about you enough to let you go. So stop being noble and start being honest. Do you want this marriage? No, Liam whispered. God help me, no. Do you love Emma? Yes, always, only. Then we're doing this. Victoria pressed a button, and a moment later, a nurse appeared. Can you get James Morrison on the phone? My lawyer. Tell him I need the papers drawn up immediately. As the nurse left to make the call, Victoria looked at both of them. I need to be alone with Emma for a moment. Liam, go get some coffee. This is going to take a while. Liam hesitated, then nodded. As he passed Emma, he stopped. I don't know what to say to you. Then don't say anything yet, just go get your coffee. After he left, Victoria gestured for Emma to come closer. There's something else, Victoria said. Something you need to know before you decide if you can really do this. Emma's stomach dropped. What? Liam, been paying your father's debts. All of them. Every penny his father stole from your family, Liam has been quietly repaying for the last 3 years. It's why he's been working so hard, taking on so many projects. He's been funneling money into a trust fund in your name. The room spun. What? He's terrified to tell you. Thinks you'll see it as guilt, money, or pity. But Emma, it's not. It's atonement. It's the only way he knew how to say he was sorry when he couldn't face you to actually say the words. How much? Emma heard herself ask. $3 million with interest. It's sitting in an account waiting for you. James has the details. Emma couldn't breathe. $3 million. Her father's entire loss returned. The security her family had lost restored. All this time, while she'd been struggling, building her business from nothing, terrified of every late rent payment and overdue invoice, there had been millions of dollars sitting in an account with her name on it. Because Liam had been trying to fix what his father broke. Why didn't he tell me? Emma whispered. Because he's an idiot who thinks grand gestures are a substitute for honest conversation. Victoria's smile was fond despite the criticism. But he's your idiot if you want him. Flawed and broken, and trying so hard to be better than his father that he's tied himself in knots. Victoria, I don't know if I can do this, if I can trust him again. Then don't. Walk away. Take the money, rebuild your life, find someone less complicated. Victoria squeezed her hand weakly. But Emma, if you do that, make sure it's because you don't love him anymore, not because you're scared of getting hurt again. Fear is a terrible reason to give up on someone. Before Emma could respond, alarms started blaring. Victoria's monitors showed numbers dropping rapidly. Nurses rushed in, pushing Emma aside. You need to leave, someone said. Now. Emma stumbled into the hallway. Liam was running toward her, coffee forgotten. What's happening? I don't know. She was fine, and then. A doctor emerged, her face grave. Are you family? Her husband, Liam said. Is she? She's stable, but she's weaker than we thought. The collapse at the resort did more damage than we realized. We're going to need to keep her here for extensive treatment, possibly weeks. But she'll be okay, Liam's voice cracked. The doctor's expression said everything. We're doing everything we can. She disappeared back into the room, leaving Liam and Emma standing in the hallway, the weight of impossible choices crushing them both. I can't leave her, Liam said. Not now, not when she's. I know, Emma's voice was surprisingly steady, and I wouldn't ask you to. But the annulment, what she said. Can wait. She needs you right now, Liam, so be there for her. And when she's better or when it's time, we'll figure out the rest. Liam turned to her, his eyes red and devastated. "How are you so strong? How can you stand here and tell me to stay with my wife when—" "Because loving someone means wanting what's best for them, even when it hurts, even when it's not you." Emma touched his face gently. "Victoria taught me that, in her letter, in everything she's done. She loved you enough to let you go. I love you enough to let you stay. 3 years ago you left without saying goodbye. Don't make the same mistake with her. Be there until the end, whatever that looks like. Give her the dignity and care she deserves. And then, if there's an after, come find me. And if you've moved on by then—" Emma smiled through her tears. "Then I guess you'll know what it feels like." She kissed his cheek, breathing in his scent one last time, then turned and walked away. Behind her, she heard Liam say her name, but she didn't turn back. Some things required more strength than looking back could provide. 6 months later, Emma stood in her new office, purchased with money from a trust fund she'd finally accepted, and stared at the invitation in her hands. Victoria Hartwell Memorial Service. March 15th. All are welcome, asterisk. She died peacefully, Natalie had told Emma in a tearful phone call, surrounded by family. Liam had been there, holding her hand, reading her favorite poetry until her last breath. And he'd kept his promise. He'd been there until the very end. Emma ran her fingers over the embossed lettering, remembering Victoria's kindness, her impossible generosity, her final gift. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "The service is tomorrow. I know you probably won't come, but if you do, I'll be there. And if you want to talk, really talk about everything, I'm ready now. I've been ready since you walked away from that hospital. I love you, Emma. I never stopped. And I'm done running. Liam." Emma read the message 3 times, her heart hammering. Tomorrow. She had until tomorrow to decide if second chances were real or just beautiful lies we tell ourselves to make the pain bearable. She picked up her phone and started typing a response, then stopped. Some things needed to be said in person. Tomorrow she would go to the memorial service. Tomorrow she would face Liam Ashford one more time. Tomorrow she would decide if their story ended in a hospital hallway or if it was just beginning. But tonight she allowed herself to hope. And sometimes hope was enough.